MJZ Reviews here, and today we're going to be talking about the East Blue Saga of One Piece. And was it really that bad? So I'm going to start off with the negative points, and then the positive points, and then at the end I'm going to give my overall conclusion. And by the way, I'm not going to edit this video like most of my videos are, all of them in fact. So let's start with the negative points. The first chapter is really good, especially in the manga, but I think it's the third episode in the anime with the Shanks flashback. That is really good, and it sort of gets you hooked onto One Piece, but it takes a while for you to get like really, really hooked. I'd say you get hooked on volume 7 or episode 24, I think. So it's, I don't know. But maybe back in the day in the 90s, they liked this kind of series that just kind of was a fun adventure at the start. Now people prefer like, the edgier stuff and stuff like that. Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul. Those series, they start really fast. Like Full Metal Alchemist, that starts really fast and people enjoy it. And yeah, and recent examples has been like My Hero Academia. That series starts like the first chapter is like insane, or the first episode is really good, and you get hooked from there. But back then, I think series took a while for you to get into, but maybe they liked it like that back in the 90s, like more that when I was younger, I didn't mind if a series took a while to start off because I had a lot of time, but now because I have less time, more work to do, I don't. I want a series that starts off quickly. So with One Piece, I got the first like 3 volumes like 3 or 4 years ago, and then after that I took like a 2 years break, and then somebody and then I went to the comic shop, and I think I finished like Naruto at the time, and I said, all right, I'm gonna go get One Piece. I'm gonna carry it on, even though I didn't like the first 3 volumes that much. And then from volume 6, I got hooked. Then I started watching the anime. So why does it take so long to start off? Well, the first like 3 chapters, which is the flashback and the Morgan thingy, maybe like 6 chapters. I'm not sure. That was good, but then you get the Buggy the Clown arc, which I don't know. Looking back on it, I like it now, but that's because of like the nostalgia factor. But before I didn't really like it, and that kind of turned me off One Piece. And then there's the Kuro arc, and that was like signs of like stuff is gonna get better because more violent, more action, more drama in it, and and then after that I was like maybe, and then we get the Baratier arc, which I'll get to after. So yeah, it just takes a while to start off. Now there's a big complaint saying that it takes 50 episodes or the whole East Blue for One Piece to get good, which just does not make sense. Does not make sense because when you get to the Baratier arc, you should be hooked onto One Piece. But if not, you get the Arlen Park arc. And if you don't like Arlen Park, just don't watch One Piece because Arlen Park is a really good arc. Has the first like really like emotional backstory, and you get good fights and a nice conclusion of the arc, and it kind of shows what One Piece will be like. That's kind of like the blueprints for the Alabasta arc, Skypiea arc, and if you don't like Arlen Park, just drop the series. So yeah, so I don't know why some people are saying it takes 50 episodes to get into One Piece. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, another complaint is that some people don't like the art style. Yeah, it wasn't its early days. Understandable, Oda didn't have like as good as a understanding of panels as he does now. They were more like they're more like basic panels back then. But later on, he starts to develop his art style. Hopefully, I'll find this one panel that I like, uh, which is the I don't think I can find it, guys. But it's sometimes it's good. Maybe it's a bit too round sometimes, but it gets better later on. But recently, the quality has been declining a bit. But that's understandable because Oda he works so hard. and so I let him off for that. Now, yeah, so the it get and yeah, it improves. It's the start of a shonen. Shonen, there are it's when it starts off, it's a bit shaky, with Bleach and Naruto, but they get better. But then they stop to, and then they start declining in quality because the authors, they just can't take it anymore. But yeah, and then another complaint is the kind of like maybe it's too focused on humor, which I feel a bit. Um, yeah, it's I don't know, some of the jokes just like I may have found them like funny when I was like 7, 6, even younger than that. But when I was starting this off, I previously watched like Full Metal Alchemist, which was a like kind of a gritty series, and I enjoyed that, and humor in that was I don't know maybe a bit more adult than in One Piece. But I think I'm not a Japanese culture expert, but I think in Japan people like to laugh at stuff like that. I'm not sure, and especially One Piece has a big like kids audience in Japan, so maybe they like those jokes, and it's aimed for like Shonen Jump is aimed for like 11 to 17-year olds. So, and I don't know, I couldn't have laughed at, when I watched this when I was like 11. I I wouldn't have laughed at the time. The jokes just aren't funny. Even though like I watched like a One Piece funny moments compilation, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't laugh at all. But there are a few jokes in One Piece that are funny, but I don't know. Maybe it focuses. Yeah, so some people say it focuses too much on comedy at the start, which I think is true. When you can, yeah, he wants to. This first chapter was quite, was quite dark. Guys getting shot in the face, guys' arms getting like bitten off, and then in the next chapter it's all like funny, blah blah blah. But luckily we have Roanoke Zoro, which kind of balances the tone. Luffy's goofy and funny, but Zoro, that's why uh, back in the day was my favorite character because he brought some seriousness to One Piece, which as a kid who just like edgy stuff, I liked that at the time. Uh, any more complaints for East Blue? I don't think there are. So let's move on to the positives. So with early One Piece, the first chapter is really good. It's I you get Shanks, his arm getting bitten off, which was quite like an intense scene for me back then, and I yeah, it shocked me, and some people now saying, oh, he was like warlord level at the time. Why is he laughing? Why is he just letting this guy just eat his arm? I mean, not a guy, but a Sea King or whatever. Um, so I think it's because he says that he placed a bet on the new generation of pirates. So he wanted to show Luffy that sacrifices had to be made for people to get the One Piece and get what they want. So it kind of when Luffy gets serious, I think it's because of that moment. And then you get the Kuro arc, which brings like more dramatic aspects into One Piece, which I haven't read in a while. I've only read it once actually, but I really want to reread it later on. Yeah, and then we get the Baratier arc, and yeah, this is where stuff starts to heat up. I think you can see the contrast between these covers. That early Baratier arc, and then you get the later version. You can see Luffy just smiling, having food, and there he's just all bloodied up and stuff. Yeah, so that's when the tone starts to change. One of the moments in One Piece that I really enjoy to this day is Mihawk coming. So when Mihawk arrived at he what did he do? Yeah, he arrived at Baratier and just cut up all these ships. And I was like, yeah, he's strong, but he's not that strong. We aren't at that point in One Piece yet. Because I thought it was following like the Dragon Ball formula where, you know, it just get the villains get progressively stronger instead of one really strong villain just coming at once. It's like kind of, if you take it in Dragon Ball standards, it's kind of like for Rona or Zoro, it's kind of like Kid Goku meeting like Frieza. You know, so it's quite intense. And I didn't know what the warlords were at the time, so I was like, who is this guy? He's quite mysterious, and then he just absolutely destroys Zoro. He can beat him with a like little mini sword, and that that's one of the parts of the Baratie arc which I was like, oh, I need to carry on reading this because maybe without that scene I might have like not enjoyed One Piece. Uh, yeah, and then there's Don Krieg. Yeah, he's a good character. This is spoilers for after the East Blue part, but before I was introduced to One Piece, well, before I started reading it, I knew some of the characters. I watched a bit of One Piece with them. I knew Frankie, and I thought that this guy was Frankie, and I was like, when's he going to join the crew? When's he going to when's he going to join the crew? And I was like, how can this guy join the crew? He's so evil. And then I was like, oh, he's not Frankie. He's just some random, guy. Then we get Gin. Gin, if you don't remember, you should remember, is that guy there. That guy is still one of my favorite One Piece characters because of Gin. You know, I got hooked onto One Piece. He's really well written character, even though we don't see him for too long. And I really want him to return. Yeah, I really want him to return later on. So then, yeah, you get all these amazing moments. You get the final fight between, Luffy and Don Krieg, and you also get the what's it called again? Yeah, you get Sanji. You get Sanji, who is a really, interesting character. His backstory is quite sad, and he only uses his feet, which was like at the time I was like, what? How does that work? And then that's one of the parts of one, like it's just what makes One Piece unique compared to other series. You don't see a rubber man in other series. You don't see somebody using three swords. I mean, maybe now they do, but before One Piece, every like sword character only had like two swords or one sword or 10. I don't know, but three sword style was really like unique. Just showing Oda, with the Sanji kicking thingy, he just thinks outside of the box. And then after that we get uh, the the Arlong Park saga. I'm not sure if I prefer Arlong Park or Baratier. Uh, I think Arlong Park is better written, but Baratier has like nostalgia points, obviously. Um, yeah, so Arlong Park, you get introduced to the fishmen, and for a while I thought that Arlong was a warlord, but it just turns out because I was like, oh yeah, he's being paid by the government. He's obviously a warlord. But then in the end, I got him confused with Jinbei, who was mentioned, just before the arc. Yeah, and he, hmm, yeah, you get this good introduction, and they go into this town, and it's all destroyed, and Usopp finds Nami's sister, and then Usopp, I don't know what happens after that. He fakes his death. The Straw Hats come on, like Luffy and Sanji come onto the island, and then they're told Nami's backstory, but in the end, only Usopp and Sanji listen. So if you've not realized yet, Zoro and Luffy are just fighting because Zoro's fighting because Luffy's telling them to, and Luffy's just like, I know this guy's hurting my friend. What? I don't need to listen to this sad backstory. In the end, I just want to help my friend. So that was a good moment. Then you get the fights. I thought probably I really liked the Sanji fights. The Usopp one, I didn't like it at the time, but now I'm like, whoa, it's a good fight for Usopp's character development. Zora's fight, was all right. You didn't get to see his like full power because obviously he got the injury from Mihawk. And then you get the Luffy versus Arlong. I'm I'm not sure if the Don Krieg fight is better. I'm not sure. The part that really annoyed me for the Fishman Island fight was that Luffy was staying in the water. If you don't know, he was drowning for like 10 chapters, which just pissed me off a bit. But I think the conclusion to the Arlong Park arc is better than the Baratie conclusion. Even though the Baratie conclusion is really good because you get Sanjino on his knees thanking Zeph. Yeah, and then Alan, yeah, the last moment of that fight, you get the gum axe, and you're like, yeah, that move's not that impressive. Is Arlang even beaten yet? And then the whole thing falls down. You're like, oh my god, that was Luffy was serious that time. And I like the scene just before that where all the uh, Luffy's kicking all the papers, which is one of the parts that I remember without rereading it. That part always stuck with me. He was like, even though Nami had worked hard to produce these maps, Luffy knew that she didn't put her heart into it because she was making them for someone else, not for herself, not for her friends, not for her family, but for a villain and basically a mob. So yeah, and then after Alan Park falls down, you get Luffy saying like to Nami. The translation on this is debatable. In the anime, Japanese says we will always be Nakama. We will be Nakama now. In English, but in the English volumes it says you're one of us now. I don't know. Some people prefer it when you know when they say Nakama, but I don't really mind for now. Even though I think I do prefer the word Nakama, but yeah, hopefully I don't get roasted by the One Piece podcast now. Yeah, and then after that, sum things up, we get the Logtown arc, which I think was better in the anime because in the manga they kind of rushed it. You could just see that um, Oda wanted them to get to the Grand Line by chapter 100, so he kind of rushed it. But in the anime, you get these little side stories just make it a little bit more interesting, and that yeah, and then you get the introduction to Smoker, who was my friend told me about Smoker beforehand, and he's like, oh my god, I really love Smoker. He smokes all the time, and like his powers, and yeah, I really like Smoker as a character. One scene in the anime that they did really well is Smoker remembering Gold Roger's execution. Now, in the manga, they didn't include that, so when I was like rereading it, I was like, what? But in the anime, that scene with you get Smoker trying to find Gold Roger, everybody just pushing him out, and when he finally gets to see him, it's like the music plays, and it's such like an impactful moment, and it's a shame that they didn't include it. I mean, Oda didn't include it in the manga, even though it is not canon, but Oda could have not rushed it. If you know what I mean. You get Monkey D. Dragon, who is spoilers. Sorry, that was a massive spoiler. So if you're yeah, who gets introduced. He's somewhere in the background. I won't spoil anything. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, Dan, for upsetting you there. But um, yeah, and that's it. And then after that, you get they go to Grand Line, and yeah, you get them going. I think the anime did the scene a lot better as well, where they go across the red line. That with the anime with the music, that was really impactful. And yeah, and East Blue, you know, East Blue was a lot better than the stuff from the entrance to the Grand Line to before Alabasta. East Blue was way better than them, like 10 volumes or 100 episodes. Yeah. So what would I rate the East Blue Saga out of 10? I would rate it solid 8 or 9, 8.5. Let's say 8.5. Bratier, so good. Uh, Arlong Park, just really good. You know, if you don't get hooked by Ratier, you get hooked by Arlong Park and just these scenes. You know, in the end, it's the start of One Piece. No East Blue, no Alabasta, no Skypiea, no Enies Lobby. So, you know, it's now you might not you might have not like enjoyed it when you first read or watched it, but when you finish One Piece and you're like, maybe I want to revisit it. I kind of remember rushing these few episodes, or I didn't watch them, you know, without fully concentrating. So, you know, what I did, I went back and I got the volumes, and now I'm like really enjoying it. You know, rereading all these, you know, these parts I sort of like missed, and you know, I really enjoy it now. And yeah, maybe when you're getting into One Piece, you might not enjoy everything up to the Baratie arc that much, but now I prefer it. So so that's it. Sorry for the long video, and sorry if I stuttered a bit. I think I stuttered a lot. Um, so yeah, so it's been JZ Reviews here. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.